Welcome to our new Secondary Reading Language Arts PLN video series. In this first video, we're going to talk about using the data tree to develop our writing skills and to build a connected CER. To anchor our learning, I wanted to first start with saying that this professional learning is going to support teachers in helping students build skills in order to answer not only isolated but also connected CER responses and hopefully building to a full analytical essay using the same strategy. We're also going to refresh our understandings of the data tree and how it supports students in collecting evidence to build those responses. And then we're going to go through the process and how to create a connected CER. Before we start showing the data tree and the process, I wanted to be clear about what connected CER is. Connected CER is one claim with two pieces of evidence and two reasonings. This evidence and reasoning can come from one text or multiple text. It would just depend on the charge for the student and what the teacher would need the student to answer. And then the data tree strategy is a planning strategy that helps students respond to text-dependent questions and will act as a way that the student can extract the evidence from a text and keep a collection of that evidence in one place so that we can pick and choose text evidence that helps answer the question most effectively. Again, for our learning, this is going to be for you, the teacher, to understand how to put this in front of students. So we wanted to include the techniques that we use so that you could understand how we developed the question. Before we get started, our best thinking is that we help students on test day to go through as a test-taking strategy, to go through and find those short constructed response or extended constructed response questions in the test before they start reading the selection. And this will help the student have a charge or a reason that they're actually annotating that text so that they can highlight pieces of evidence that they think will answer that question or highlight text evidence that they think they can use that will answer that question. The question that we're using today is what appeals are used by the author that helps support the claim, and what is the influence on the audience? Write a connected CER using two pieces of evidence to support your claim. Now, this comes from English 1, and we developed this question based on a stem from the new released items. We also, on our data tree, are going to ask students to do kind of a brain dump based on what they know about the genre that they're reading and the question that they know that they're going to have to answer. This will make more sense when I show you the actual data tree, but we wanted to show you that on this slide as well. Moving into the data tree, I'm going to walk you through this process, but it's going to look like it's fully done. It's already completely done. If you want more step-by-step and more information on how to get this in front of students, we've built a Canvas course. So go visit us there. We have all of the resources, we have all the information, and you can do this with a PLC or with your grade level meetings. As the students go through their test as they're reading, remember we asked them to read the prompt first. They are highlighting pieces of the text that they think would answer that question. And that's just the annotation strategy. We're just highlighting things that we think, or I think as a student, that I could use that could potentially answer that question that I found. On my data tree, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to write my prompt. And remember, the prompt is what appeals are used by the author that help support the claim, and what is the influence on the audience? Write a connected CER using two pieces of evidence to support your claim. So I know that as a reader, I'm looking at my text, and I know that it's an argument, it's a speech. So I have to go back here and think about appeals. What appeals is the author doing? What do I know about appeals? I know it's a means of persuasion based on logic, emotion, or credibility. I remember that from when I learned about argument in my English 1 class. I also need to understand the influence it has on the audience. What is influence and who is the audience? I write that down as my brain dump, and I know that that's my charge as I'm reading an argumentative text, and it just kind of acts as a reminder so I can use that academic vocabulary in my response. As I'm reading my text, remember all of these things that I thought would answer my prompt question that I highlighted? I am simply going to copy over into these evidence boxes on my data tree. There's no rhyme or reason to it. I'm not categorizing yet. I'm just taking that information that I found that I thought might answer that question, and I'm putting that in my evidence boxes on my data tree for step 1. For step 2, I look at all of the evidence that I've collected, and I try to kind of put it into some kind of logical order. What am I seeing? What patterns am I seeing? What things can I kind of make into categories so that it might make more sense that I could maybe make an interpretation on? So I'm going to start collecting all of this information to make an interpretation. And then I'm going to write my interpretations in this green box. So I'm just simply taking my text boxes and I'm moving them to make categories or to make some kind of connection between the text evidence that I've already pulled in an effort to make an interpretation. So the interpretations that we found for this text are in green. The first interpretation, Steinem uses logical appeals to demonstrate the injustices of women. Remember, I have to talk about appeals anyway, and that's part of my academic vocabulary that I already identified before I started this process. Another interpretation we made was Steinem shares her experiences to establish her credibility. And so this is kind of all the evidence of her being a credible person, I lumped into this category. And then finally, our third interpretation, the author's use of emotional appeals portrays how women are treated as less than men. And all of that evidence of women being treated less than men that I found from my original annotations, I've grouped together here so that I have all of my interpretations and their corresponding evidence categorized together. So our final step in the data tree strategy is to then take all of these interpretations and try to build it into a claim and to develop my claim. The claim I found for this first text is Steinem shares her own experience to her audience with credibility as a fellow woman grappling with injustice. That is my claim. That's my initial claim. That's what I'm going to write my first connected CER using. I then take this frame and I start to build my CER, my connected CER. I put my connected claim right here at the top. And then I also have the prompt here as well, just for reference. But my connected claim, again, is Steinem shares her own experience to her audience with credibility as a fellow woman grappling with injustice. There's my connected claim. Now I need to include my connected my two pieces of evidence. My first evidence is Steinem shares that during 12 years of working for a living, I've experienced much of the legal and social discrimination reserved for women in this country. And then the reasoning that I'm connecting to that evidence is the 12 years shows she has worked, that she has firsthand experience of discrimination in the workforce. My second piece of text evidence, remember I'm talking about the appeals that the author has and its effect on the audience. Steinem introduces herself as a member of the Policy Council of the Democratic National Committee. So this is another appeal she's doing, and then here's my reasoning. By sharing her title in the organization, she persuades the reader that she knows about the issues on a national level. So you'll see here we have our connected claim at the top, our evidence, our two pieces of evidence with two reasonings for that evidence, and we build it into a full paragraph to have our full connected CER response. Now, this is students aren't going to be asked to write a connected CER on the test. This is a building block to writing a full analytical essay. So you'll see here, we have all of this text evidence. We have all of this information that we pulled. This is our question. This connected CER now becomes a paragraph or a body paragraph in my full analytical essay. So we can stack connected CERs on top of each other to develop a full extended constructed response or essay 4-star. If you want more step-by-step and you want to slow this process down a little bit, again, join us on our Canvas module and we'll break everything down for you with questions and resources. We even have more text for you. And you can go through this with a PLC or your grade level meetings. Thank you so much for joining us.